This is Freedom Week, although in political theory we take the liberty of using instead the synonym liberty. And it turns out that it comes in two different flavors, negative and positive liberty. The concept is simple. We want life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness because we want nothing to interfere with our pursuit of happiness, or with what we've been calling our welfare. We sometimes call this negative liberty, not because it's a bad thing, but because we state it with a not. Do not get in the way of my pursuit of happiness. It's also described as external liberty, since it's a freedom from external impediments. If you prioritize external liberty above everything else, then we call you appropriately a libertarian. But things do get in my way, and sometimes they ought to get in my way. You've heard the remark, your liberty to swing your fist ends where my nose begins. So one way for government to promote your liberty is to limit mine. I am at liberty to fish in the public pond, as long as there are enough fish for you to do so too. A catch limit both giveth liberty and taketh it away. This seems perfectly fine, but it can go too far. John Stuart Mill, the most influential proponent of this view, said that the only time government should intervene is when the liberty of another is thwarted. But this means that assisted suicide, voyeurism, sex with a consenting minor should be legal. This presents the possibility that in the case of external liberty, there's such a thing as too much freedom. And it gets more complicated when you and I are in pursuit of different sorts of happiness. If my happiness is all about amassing wealth and yours is all about conserving the environment, then somebody's nose is going to get bloodied, no matter how the government referees the match. So in this form, the question about liberty presents one of the most vexing problems in political thought. Just how involved should the government get in deciding who has the better conception of happiness? Now, it's not crazy to suppose that some conceptions of happiness make us freer than others. Imagine that I'm a rock star. I can buy whatever I want, and what I want more than anything else is drugs. I have an endless supply, and the liberty to do this has made me as happy as I can possibly be. But is this freedom, or am I a slave to my drug habit? What if my friends who love me and care about my happiness force me into rehab? In a way, they have paradoxically forced me to be free. And I will someday thank them, they say. So another flavor is the freedom that comes from having the right idea of happiness. And if you ensure that I get the necessary education or therapy or incentives to improve my conception of happiness, you're liberating me in a deeper way than if you merely remove external impediments. So this is internal liberty. Since you're freeing me from character flaws or conceptual confusions, and this is called positive liberty, since it's not the freedom from, but the freedom to. Jean-Jacques Rousseau is its greatest champion. He builds on the idea from last week that democracy works best if we all share the same notion of the common good. Remember the jury? We then willingly participate in what he calls the general will. And that, he says, is when our own will is the freest. But the government, says Rousseau, may need to help in this process of liberating us. His own phrase is that it can force us, paradoxically, to be free. And we may not be enslaved to drugs. Maybe we've been raised in a sexist, racist, or anti-scientific community, and the government provides a common education to help us grow out of such self-destructive ideas. That doesn't seem terribly bothersome. But you and I may still have conflicting ideas of what constitutes the good life, whether it's amassing wealth, preserving the environment, devotion to family, commitment to religion, engagement in athletics, creation of art, or just goofing off. When the government becomes too specific, it does not go well. Partially inspired by Rousseau, leaders of the French Revolution tried to force freedom upon those who had the wrong idea about how France should be governed. Literally thousands of heads rolled. Maybe, as noted earlier, Mill's external liberty taken to the extreme results in too much freedom. But Rousseau's internal liberty taken to the extreme results in, well, no liberty at all. Both flavors of freedom can be delicious, but they can both be laid on too thick. And like democracy, if served without additional ingredients, they have to be sent back to the civic kitchen. And that's our tasty idea for week 5.